This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. For as long as I've been talking about the insurrection on January 6th and the satellite of complicity related to different individual Republicans, be they private citizens who are loosely affiliated with the government, like Clarence Thomas's wife, Jenny, or Charlie Kirk providing buses for all of the ne'er-do-wells who would come to attack the United States Capitol, or actual members of Congress. There's a network of individuals who worked night and day, it seems, and it's becoming more and more clear, to overturn a free and fair American election, a settled American election. The other day, the Select Committee voted to forward a contempt of Congress vote onto the full House for Mark Meadows, the former chief of staff of Donald Trump, over his refusal to participate in the investigation to see if we can maybe stop it from happening again. That's how little they care about America. That all they're doing is looking into it to see what they can do legislatively to prevent another insurrection, and Republicans who have no duty or loyalty to the country are refusing to cooperate. Jim Jordan, several texts were read that night. I did a video on it the next day, and here we are. But Jim Jordan, they read a bunch of anonymous texts, and Jim Jordan has been outed by The Federalist, a wacky conservative paper for whom John McCain's daughter's husband works. I like getting a little dig in there when I can, because that's their claim to fame. They've done nothing on their own. They're John McCain's daughter's husband. How you like that, Ben? Good job, buddy. Very accomplished individual. Anyway, Jim Jordan, I will stop poking the bear. Jim Jordan has been outed as one of those texters to Mark Meadows, forwarding information in a plot to try to overturn the election, to try to violate the Constitution and reinsert Donald Trump as president of the United States. I'm going to read a little bit from the CNN article. Jim Jordan sent one of the texts revealed by January 6th committee. Representative Jim Jordan forwarded a text message to then White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows on January 5th, outlining a legal theory that then Vice President Mike Pence had the authority to stand in the way of the certification of the 2020 election. He did not, meaning Mike Pence did not have the authority. He was in no way, he was more of a ceremonial figure that day. The votes had been certified by the individual states. He was just there to certify those results. And he did what he was required to do by law, Mike Pence. Because listen, had there been any constitutionally justified way that he could have stepped in and done something to overturn the election, he would have done it. There are documented conversations with he and Dan Quayle, the former Republican vice president under George H.W. Bush, where he said, look, you don't know the pressure I'm under. I've tried to look any way to get in the middle of this, and there's just no way. Jim Jordan, traitor to the United States of America, thought otherwise. A portion of that message was read by the January 6th Select Committee during their contempt report presentation against Meadows in a meeting this week. The full House voted Tuesday night to refer Meadows to the Justice Department. A spokesman for Jordan, an Ohio Republican, confirmed to CNN that he forwarded a text message to Meadows on January 5th that was sent to him by Joseph Schmitz, a former Department of Defense Inspector General. Schmitz's text included a draft presentation arguing that Pence had the constitutional authority to object to the certification of election results from certain states. Quote, Mr. Jordan forwarded the text to Mr. Meadows, and Mr. Meadows certainly knew it was a forward. Russell Dye, a spokesperson for Jim Jordan, confirmed to CNN. Like that matters. It's the same idiotic thing that you hear Donald Trump say. It wasn't a tweet. It was a retweet. Like it takes culpability away. Jim Jordan is forwarding on fascist attempts to overthrow the United States government. The conservative website The Federalist was the first to report that Jordan forwarded the text to Meadows. The committee, during their presentation, shared only a portion of the text on a graphic that was read by Representative Adam Schiff, a Democrat from California. A committee source tells CNN an aide inadvertently placed a period before the end of a sentence in the graphic that was not in the original text. Schiff read from an quote-unquote unnamed lawmaker. And again, this is something I talked about the other day when I played those text messages read by Liz Cheney. Why were they shielding these individuals? If not for some weird tradition of decorum where you don't call out the bad behavior and treason of your fellow members. Stop with this kid-gloving bullshit and start naming names, Congress. Here's the text. On January 6, 2021, Vice President Mike Pence, as President of the Senate, should call out all electoral votes that he believes are unconstitutional as no electoral votes at all. 3 sources confirmed to CNN that the full text that Jordan forwarded to Meadows included specific information about the legal theory and contained a Word document that outlined the strategy. The sources said the full message was this. Now listen, it is important to have the full context, but we also need to take into consideration what the context is. The context of the context. And the context of the context here is that they were trying to overturn a free and fair, settled American election. Trying to steal an election. What else do we need to know? Here is that full text, though. Quote, on January 6, 2021, Vice President Mike Pence, as President of the Senate, should call out all electoral votes that he believes are unconstitutional as no electoral votes at all, in accordance with guidance from founding father Alexander Hamilton and judicial precedents. No legislative act, wrote Hamilton in Federalist 78, contrary to the Constitution, can be valid. The court in Hubbard versus Lowe reinforced this truth that an unconstitutional statute is not a law at all is a proposition no longer open to discussion. Gives the case numbers and the page and the year. Appeal dismissed, blah, blah, blah. Following this rationale, an unconstitutionally appointed elector, like an unconstitutionally enacted statute, is no elector at all. So I guess it's up to this disparate constellation of dum-dums, anti-American dum-dums, to declare in their own minds what is and what is not constitutional. Not taking into account that that's what the judiciary, the judiciary of the United States is for. That's what the Supreme Court is there to do. Not for Jim Jordan, a man who didn't have what it took to stand up in the face of rampant abuse of his own players on his wrestling team. A coward and a traitor to his oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Moving on here, the text from Jordan is another example of the intense pressure campaign put on Pence by Trump supporters to act on unproven legal theories as a last-ditch effort to prevent the certification of the election results. It was pressure Pence ultimately rejected, as we've seen. Pressure campaign up to and including death threats, calling for his hanging. Remember, the hangman's gallows. Not the impromptu constructed hangman's gallows. I don't know how many times I have to talk about this, but you don't show up at a protest and there just happens to be lumber and nails, screws and drills and hammers, all the equipment to construct a hangman's gallows. And then impromptu chance of hang Mike Pence while there's a hangman's gallows just hundreds of feet away. All of this was planned. Jim Jordan is up to his neck, thick as thieves with these insurrectionists, and he needs to go. And if his congressional district can't get it done, you strip him of his committees. You wield him powerless in the Congress, except for his vote, which is a part of the Constitution. And if we find he had more to do with this, we convict him and remove him from Congress. because you don't get to plan, you don't get to orchestrate, you don't get to take part in an insurrection against the United States government while being a seated member of Congress, thinking that your being a seated member of Congress is going to provide you immunity from your crimes. You are a reprobate, Jim Jordan. You are a traitor, which we'll get to because I'm not the only one who's calling him a traitor. Something I've been saying for years, and now a member of Congress is also saying it. I'll talk about that in the next video. I'd love to know what you think about all of this. You can call, leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. Thank you for spending some time with me today. Had to take a day off yesterday. The unfortunate voice was gone. Follow me on social media. I would absolutely love to connect with you there. And if I bring you value, whether that be a smile or some information, the will to press on as an activist in our crumbling system, then please consider supporting my work here on the platform. For as little as $1.99 a month, you can help produce and support what I do here. Click on the join button below this video, become a channel member, or you can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. Both those are great ways. I would appreciate the support. Big things are happening here. We are moving, as evidenced by the boxes, moving to DC, and we're growing this thing. And it's with your help that we're going to be able to do that. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I will see you next time. Until I do, be genuine. Take care of one another.